Are you want to start talking, or do you want to start with the slideshow?
No, I'm going to talk first before the slideshow. Okay. All right. Thank you guys all for coming to
Wait, I'm not recording the camera
sorry,
yet.
Vince isn't recording yet. Good? Got it? Okay, do you want to come show everybody on Zoom?
Well, now that's in the recording.
Sorry.
I know what to do.
Oh,
Just
gotcha.
start your thing.
Sorry.
I'll come around and get that. You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all for coming to my speech for communications today. I want to start by asking you all to imagine something for me. I want you to imagine yourselves walking into a grocery store and the grocery store is empty. Hard to imagine? Not really, not so much. Yeah, you would assume some disaster must have happened, maybe a pandemic. So we're all experiencing this firsthand right now. So this is an especially important topic, something that I really feel passionately about and am excited to share with you guys. But I do want you to pay attention in the coming days and weeks because our food supply is at risk right now. Our ability to feed our families is about as vulnerable as it's ever been. I'm sure you've seen on the news that meat processing plants are closing. And it's not because of food shortages, it's because of our ability to process food and get it out to consumers. This is my 6th season selling vegetable starts and garden starts. We were going to take the season off of growing produce this year and have decided it's our responsibility to continue to grow produce. People are shopping in ways that I haven't seen before. My customers are scared. I've got people panic shopping. I've sold out on plants 3 times probably this spring. I'm talking daily with concerned customers, other local market growers, people who are concerned about their ability to get seeds, their ability to get food, just even securing food to get through the summer, through the fall and winter. And then we're thinking about next spring. The seed companies are shutting down ordering. It's just panic everywhere. The biggest part of the problem is that we as a country rely far too heavily on internationally imported and cross-country shipped food. According to the Center for Urban Education about Sustainable Agriculture, the average meal in our country travels 1,500 miles to get from the farm to your plate. 1,500 miles for every meal. Can't make this go. Okay, so there's the Chicago Terminal Market is kind of a central hub for produce, for our food. It goes to the Chicago Terminal Market and then is broken down and transported around the country to smaller facilities. But to get a tomato to the Chicago Terminal Market, it travels 1,369 miles on average. A bag of greens travels 889 miles. Your lettuce, 2,055 miles. If you live in Chicago and you're not buying locally, your lettuce is traveling over 2,000 miles to get to you. According to the United States Food and Drug Administration, 15% of all of the food that we consume is imported. 32% of our fresh vegetables come from overseas. 55% of our fruit and 94% of the seafood that we eat is imported from outside of the United States, which blew my mind. The big problem with all of that is that if long haul trucks stopped, if trucking stopped, we would run out of food in our grocery stores in 3 days. Our shelves would be bare. We would have no toilet paper. And aside from that, if long haul trucking stopped, we would have fuel shortages. In 14 days, our local water processing and cleaning facilities would run out of the chemicals that they need to process our water. We can't get water from the tap. We can't go to the store and buy it. We're in a lot of trouble. We need to cut our dependence on cross-country. We need to start shopping locally. All of that information is concerning. It's scary, but there are small changes that we can all make to help secure our own local food and keep our families fed and keep us all safe. Rutherford County is the county that we live in, so everybody on Zoom, y'all are not local. But according to the Pick Tennessee Products, which is our kind of our go-to website for everything local, we have 6 weekly farmer markets in Rutherford County that operate year-round. In Middle Tennessee, we have 73 markets that operate year-round. We use Pick Tennessee Products, the website, all of the time. It helps us find pick your own farms that are local farms that are open. It's a good resource for finding CSA shares, pick your own produce, things like that. But most small towns do have markets, and they're fun to go to. So you can shop locally with minimal effort. More and more CSA options are offering a home delivery, which is great because you can get your local foods without having to even leave your house. There are a lot of positive impacts for you shopping locally. You get to know your grower if you shop locally. I love meeting my customers. I have watched my customers' families grow through the years, and it's just really, it's a rewarding thing. When you buy your food locally, it's fresh and it's picked at the peak of ripeness and nutrition. It tastes good. I have had hundreds of people who've come into my greenhouse hating kale, and hundreds of people who have left my greenhouse loving fresh kale. So if you shop locally, you're getting the best food that you can get. According to the Earth Institute at Columbia University, 83% of food industry emissions are related to production directly. That would be your fertilizers, your herbicides and pesticides, plowing, things like that. Local small growers, we don't use that. We avoid that if at all possible. So you're cutting down emissions in food production and then all of the emissions that you're saving on food transport. We do everything organically. Most of the local growers that I work with do everything organically. So, you know, you do have a lot of choices that you can make to help secure your food, feed your family nutritiously and healthfully. But now is the time to really start looking at, let's see what happened here. Now is the time to start looking at what you can do for your families. I personally fear that we are really on the verge of a grocery store collapse right now. You know, I'm working with a lot of small local growers getting plants in fields right now. You know, like I had said, I was not going to do produce this year, but kind of feel like it's my responsibility to help feed people affordably. We do produce baskets weekly. We're set up like a CSA, but without the CSA commitment. So for $20 a week, people come and pick up a basket of produce that I've grown right here in my own yard. I love that I can show my customers. I can take anybody down into my gardens and I can say, this is where your mustard greens came from. This is how I grew them. This is where I started the seeds. People know without a doubt what they're getting from us is safe and healthy. And I really encourage you guys to develop those relationships now, because everybody is trying to develop those relationships now. And having a relationship, the people that I have personal relationships with, I'm going to take care of before the people who come running in halfway through the summer and are starving and are not being able to find food. You know, build that relationship now. Start looking for local meats now. If you're meat eaters, start looking for local growers. Find farmers. There are people locally, for all of you, I'm sure, that offer like barter opportunities. I have people come who can't afford their vegetables. They'll come and they'll work, and we send them home with a week's worth of produce, and they leave with the knowledge of how to grow their own, which I think ultimately should be all of our goals, is to provide at least some of our own food. It's not realistic to think that everybody can provide all of their food, but to start securing things for yourselves. The peace of mind that you'll get from it is huge. So in conclusion, I hope that y'all kind of start looking locally while you have time to look locally. You know, start thinking about the future. Hopefully it's just like coronavirus, where they said if we prepare we're going to think that this was all a big waste of time if we're successful. And hopefully we get through this into the fall and it hasn't been a big deal because we have prepared. But I like the peace of mind for myself and my family, and I'm sure that y'all would like peace of mind for yourself and your families as well. Thank you for joining me today. And I'm going to unmute you all. Oh, and I need to stop the meeting. Stop recording.